So the song starts with a phrase in a language that I'm not really acquainted with or familiar with. I think it's I think it's English written in reverse, which is I think yeah it is written in reverse, which says everything they say about them is true, and then thereafter he said euphoria. I'm not pretty sure what he was referring to or talking about in this phrase, but I'm assuming it's Drake probably and some other people. So the first three lines into the first verse, I think Kendrick Lamar is generally referring to the fact that Drake is fake and somehow his career is going to fall after maybe this diss track or something. Then moving on to the line where he's talking about fabricating stories on the family front cause you had Mr. Morale, a pathetic master manipulator. So I think Mr. Morale is referring to his last album which he dropped. That is Kendrick, the last album that he dropped. And then he's also he's also referring to the fact that Drake is not a rap artist but rather a scam artist. I don't know in what perspective, but I think he's talking about the fact that most people who love um, bars or who love rap in itself understand the fact that Drake is not really does not really rap. He's more of an R&B artist who turned rapper, something like that. But he doesn't rap fully in the whole of his albums. And then the other thing is, I think he's also referring to the fact that Drake has a lot of ghostwriters. So somehow I think that's what he's referring to. Then moving down to the line where he said, I can double down on that line but spare you this time. Thus, random acts of kindness. I think where he's referring to the fact that he makes music that electrifies his people, while Drake makes music that pacifies them. And I've heard, I think it's a guy called Steven Knight, who's also a YouTuber. He said this thing one time where he said that Kendrick Lamar can do a lot of things in terms of producing his music or his songs. If he wants to make a song that is good for the radio, he can do that. If he wants to make a music that is built for the culture, he can able to do that. And I think he didn't want to go deeper into that thing, as he said, it's a random act of kindness. And then he goes on and calls Drake a habitual liar too. But that last line is um, where he said that, but I don't tell lie about, but don't tell lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you. Which I think still means the same thing, like the first portion of the line and the last part of the line. I think it still means the same thing. If you don't tell truth about somebody, then what are you doing? You are still lying. Now, part two of the intro starts with the voices, like shoe and then PP. Oh no, BB, which I think it's like the sound of a vehicle and somebody is hooting, and I would like you to move away. So there's a line where Kendrick Lamar says, I think it's line four, where he says, "Nigga, I'm reaping what I sow." I don't know what he's referring to, but people normally reap what they sow. I mean, like if you plant an avocado, you cannot expect to harvest an orange or something different from the original fruit itself. So he says he continues talking about things dealing with the money, power, or fame, which refers to Drake. I'm not really acquainted with this statement, where, especially when he says, would make you go away, like the money, power, or fame would make you go away." So I'll just move on to, have you ever played the game which is called Have You Ever? And then he continues saying that, okay, nigga, let's play. So the first Have You Ever, he talked about walking down with an enemy with a poker face. That I'm not familiar with, but I think I know where he says, have you ever paid 500 thou like to an open case? I think Kendrick Lamar's faced a couple of cases, a couple of court cases. Um, there was one time there was somebody who wanted to sue him, like just a few years ago, order to sue him because of some copyright infringement of a song that he dropped. He most likely could be referring to one of those cases where he had to pay 500,000 with no open case. Now I don't know why he said, "Well, I have and I failed at both, but I came out straight." That last part where he came out straight sounds funny. It's like it's like some people or maybe Drake after going to such kind of situations, it could bring some sort of like changes in his character or something. But for him, he didn't. He still remained real to his true self before even the two incidences happened. Yeah, and then he also hates the way when a rapper talks about guns, and then when somebody die, they turn into nuns, then hop online like "Pray for My City." Yeah, I've heard a number of Drake songs where he's talking about shooting or somehow portraying the culture of being tough. But when something bad happens or somebody dies, he's one of those people who jump online to ask for people to pray for his city or something. He also said that Drake is faking the likes on digital hugs and that Drake's father is a killer. I'm not sure about that, but he claims that Drake's father is a killer and Drake wants to be a junior, which I feel is kind of like uh, too much somehow, where like he starts to involve Drake's family. Yeah, and the reason why I also think maybe Drake wants to associate himself with the father, who Kendrick Lamar is terming in quotes a killer, is the fact that Drake wants to be black, and he's like he feels like he's not black enough. But, as the song continues, uh, it seems like Kendrick Lamar doesn't care when he says, but let it get shaky, I'll pack his son." So the following three lines, he's talking about how the fact that he did not somehow aim well at, in quotes, Drake, but this time around he's not going to fail when he somehow dissed him in the past. Then when he talked about a ring, I'm not sure what is really referring to because from what I know, ring could be two meanings. It could be maybe a wedding ring, which I'm not sure if Drake is married, and then secondly, it could be that one from, well, here in Africa, we know that Egyptians normally use rings to gain wealth and fame, all that sort of things. So it could be that one too. And when he said, I think this line was funny. He said he'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga pack time in his grave. Maybe because Drake will be like a disgrace to the hip hop community or something. Then he continues to talk about the cutthroat business. You got this twisted. What is it? The braids. Yeah, I remember. Is it 1 or 2 years ago? Drake has had his hair braided. So maybe like sort of like a similes or comparison to both of them. Then he says that he's asking Drake if he had his feelings, and he doesn't want to. Does he want to work with him anymore? And Kendrick Lamar seems to be okay with that. Now he's also said that there are three goats. There are three goats left, which is obviously Kendrick Lamar. In this situation is Kendrick Lamar, J Cole, and Drake. But he said that he has seen two of them kissing and hugging on stage, which is probably J Cole and Drake. And he said that he loved both of them to death, but in 8 bars he'll explain that phrase. Now, from what I know is J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar have been good friends since they started rapping. And I even think J. Cole has produced some of Kendrick Lamar's songs, and has also somehow they have also collaborated. But I still think it was a big shame when J. Cole hopped on stage and apologized publicly to Kendrick Lamar for something. I'm not really sure even if it was. He did not start the beef. The one who started the beef was Kendrick Lamar. And me personally, if I knew that I'll probably do that after I dropped a diss track towards K Dot, I wouldn't have dissed him even in the first place. I would rather just let it slide. But anyway, let's go back to the song and kind of like dig deeper into what he was talking about. Now, I like the part where he starts to mention the fact that Kendrick Lamar, that is himself, he has got language barrier. And if I'm aware that Canada they speak they have two official languages, which is English and French. But for the case of America, should be only English, and maybe for those ones who are lucky enough to study other languages, maybe Spanish or yeah. But for Kendrick Lamar, he says that he's got language barrier, meaning he only has one language that he has known, and there's no accent, and there's no accent to there's no accent to sell him. So uh, even Drake himself keeps on changing his accent so that he doesn't sound like a Canadian. Yeah, still going back to the aspect of the fact that Drake wants that some sort of like blackness in him. And then I also feel that this part was also funny where he said that yeah, call an Aubrey, no, I'm a selfish nigga. The crown is heavy. Yeah, for me it sounded funny. But anyway, let's proceed. Now the part where he said I don't like you popping shit at Pharrell. I think it's Pharrell Williams. For him, I inherited the beef. Maybe this is where the this beef between him and Drake really started. Now proceeding to thereafter, he's talking about Pusha T, which I'm aware is a rapper that once dissed Drake um, on a song, which some people claim that it made Drake to be a better father. I think it's called the story of Adonis, if I'm not wrong. But Kendrick Lamar is sort of like shouting a warning at Drake that he should. He's shouting a warning towards Drake that he should try and go back to Pusha T in terms of dissing Pusha T instead of dissing him. I don't understand where he makes the comparison between Terrence Taunton and Terrence Crawford. Um, yeah, but he's making the reference of the fact that he's Taunton and then Pusha T is Terence Crawford, and he's whooping feet. And yeah, the following line where he say we gotta get personal. This friend, we ain't gotta get personal. This a friendly fade. You should keep it that way. Yeah, most people would love, and most of the fans would love it to just remain sort of like just a rap competition, and it should not get too personal, especially when you start including family members into a beef between two people. The following line talks about I know some shit gonna put about niggas that gonna make Ghana wanna look like a saint. I'm not aware or I don't know this person, wanna, but in this case it looks like he did something very terrible. Or he has done something very terrible. But Kendrick Lamar claims to have known a lot of things about some people, probably Drake is even included, that if he would have to share, it will make Ghana wanna to look even better, or like in this case now, a saint, which is kind of like a holy person or a person who looks to be somebody that people could admire to be. And then I'm not really sure if he meant it when he said that all this beefing, all this thing that is happening right currently, It ain't about creating gimmicks or being the greatest. It's all about love and hate. And then he continues to say that he's the biggest hater. And then talks about some of the things that he hates about Drake, which is the way he walks, the way he dresses, even the way that he talks. And then he also says he hates the way that he sneak this. But for him, that is Kendrick Lamar's case. For him, when he catches a flight or when he does the sneak dissing, he does it direct, which we even witnessed it recently when he was featured in Future's track, where he said, which is just an example, where he talks about that F the sneak dissing, and then he mentioned the first Passion Shooter, which was the song that was dropped by Drake featuring J Cole. Thereafter, he talks about the fact that we hate the kind of ladies or women that Drake has slept with somehow, because they seem to be confusing themselves with real women. And then he goes back and talks about the fact that he said we, not referring just to Kendrick Lamar himself, but also the culture feeling, generally people who love hip hop. Like I remember, it should be around 2 or 1 year ago when Drake found himself in a weird situation. There was I think it was an IG model who wanted to sue him because of what had transpired. I think you can able to Google that on in the internet and search the inner details. But it was a very wild case, and for me, honestly, I think it was funny. Like the person who's supposed to be sued in that case is the lady herself. I'm not really aware about the other kind of women that Drake has associated with, but that one is the one that really blew up the internet. Then the following questions continues: how many fairy tales, how many lies, in other words, that Drake is going to tell us about his family? And then how many more black features till you finally feel like you're black enough? Which goes back to the beginning of the song, where he's referring to the fact that Drake wants to be black or wants to get that portion of blackness so that he can feel that he's black enough. Now he continues to talk about that he liked Drake's in melodies, and personally, even me, I feel Drake sounds way better in melodies. But there's one song which sounded, which was good that Drake personally think rapped well. It should be the song titled "Headlines." Though there's a little bit of melodies, but that song is one of my favorite from Drake. But he says that, and then he continues saying that he doesn't like Drake when he acts tough. Now I don't know why he said that you gonna make a nigga bring back Puff. Let me see if Chubbs really crushed something. I'm not sure if he's referring to Puff Daddy. But yeah. And then this following line, yeah, my first one like my last one is a classic. You don't have one. He's also, I think, yeah, he was answering or reflecting on something that Drake said in his song Push Ups. And then the following line says, let your core audience stomach that, then tell them where you get your abs from. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw Drake with abs. I don't know, it just looks, I was just surprised that he has abs. And then it says the V12 is a first one, bow bow, last one, headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. I don't know who Daft Punk is, but definitely this song is one of the best disses I've had this year. I thought Chris Brown's diss track was good, but this Kendrick Lamar's diss track is way better. And probably, for me personally, it will go down as one of the greatest diss records of all time. Verse 2 starts with the question, remember? I love the way that he said that word. Remember? It's a reflection of one of Drake's song, uh, which is called, I think, What's Behavior. Yeah, that should be the name of the song. But he's also reflecting back to the verse, to the last verse, the ending of the last verse. Now the verse, there's a play, the verse, the first two lines that is, the verse starts with a top dog who they think they're playing with. Extortion my middle name as soon as you jump off that plane. Now extortion, I think he's also referring to one thing that Drake said in his song Push-Ups, and Kendrick Lamar claims that his second name is extortion, which is just easy to understand. That is, Kendrick Lamar claims to be allergic to the lame things, and then Drake likes being famous, which I think is true. I think it is. Now, after talking about the fact that Drake likes being famous, which I also think is true, he starts talking about Yachi, which I probably also think is referring to Lil Yachi. Uh, he's asking, he say, Yachi can't give you no swag neither. I don't give a F about who you hang out with. So this one goes back to the part to the first verse where he's talking about he doesn't like the way Drake dresses. So he was referring to how Lil Yachty could have somehow given him a sort of like a way to be dressing to maybe look black or feel like he's black enough. But he said he doesn't give a f about who he hangs out with. I think the fact that, which if you don't give a f about the person that you hang out with, then why are you mentioning it? But I think he was also referring to some of the things that Drake was talking about in his song Pusha P. No Push Up, sorry. And the following line again, it goes back to that sort of like a bridge, the way that he was, the way that he walks, the way that he talks, the way that he dresses. And then he was also surprised about a feature request from probably Drake. But he says that there's some things that he would like to address before anything happens in terms of them collaborating. And then I love the following line when he said he even hates the way he say the N word. Then he does like a sort of like a pause, and then he says, "But that is just him," he guesses. Um, I think there are a number of people who feel some type of way when Drake says it, but he still says that he feels cringy whenever Drake says it. And there are a lot of songs that Drake has said that word over and over again. Now the part where he's talking about keep making me dance waving my hand, it won't be no threat, which I feel is referring to somehow how Drake's music makes him feel like dancing, even if it's a diss track, probably. And then he also said that I'm knowing they call you the boy, but where's the man? Because I ain't seen him yet. Yeah, but Drake seems like Drake is calling, no, Kendrick Lamar is calling Drake a boy, that he's still not a man, he's still not man enough. But he feels like he wants to bleed him immediately after that line, talks about the fact that he wants to bleed him after. Then he starts comparing him to an artist. I think her name is Sexy Red, and that's why he said, "When I see you stand by Sexy Red, I believe you see too bad." Yeah, then the B word. He continues to talk about the things that he doesn't believe, or he believes about Drake. Well, one of the things is being that he believes that Drake doesn't like women because it's real competition. Because he could still be able to pop us with them. Maybe somehow talk with it. I don't know. But he continues to address the thing that also Drake talks about in his song Push Ups, which is talking about the percentage and the splits. And then he says, like, they will make sure to double check because Drake seemed to be signed to somebody who's also signed to another person, who's also signed to another person like that. So by the time Drake gets his own cut or his own share, it's probably way less than what the public perceives. And then he talks about that song that he was featured in, that is Kendrick Lamar. He talks about the song called Like That, which was yeah, he did it with Future. And then there's a song he also refers to in the third line after Tri Seas, which is Back to Back, which I believe is a song that Drake dropped. It was a diss song Drake dropped towards Meek Mill the time where they had a beef. And then he also feels like he also says that that is K Dot. He says that his life is not all about rap. That he has got another life other than just the industry or rapping, which is also to take care of his family. And precisely in this case, he's talking about his son. And but he also claims that Drake has not been a good father to his son. I think Adonis, which also goes back to the diss that Pusha T did towards him. Like Drake doesn't know how he doesn't know anything about waking the son up, praying, and teaching him about morality, discipline, all those kinds of things. Which personally, for me, I think would have hurt me to my core if somebody I'm beefing with started addressing such kind of thing. Which I think also could make a Drake to be a better father than before. Now we move on to the part where it talks about End 20v1. It's 1v20. You've gotta smack niggas that right with you, which also addresses the thing that Drake talked about in his song Push-Ups. I think he's referring to the fact that Drake has got ghosts or people who write with him about 20 against Kendrick Lamar, who writes his own song. So that's why I think he says is one person, just Kendrick Lamar, against 20, which is Drake together with his ghost writers. But he claims that he wants all of them to be brought together, that he will diss all of them into one song, which is, yeah, I like it. Now, if he continues to asking the question, am I battling a ghost or AI? Nigga feeling like Joel Austin. Funny, he was in a film called AI. Yeah, still addressing the issue about the ghostwriters, and then AI, which has been recent things happening, whereby you can hear somebody rapping, and then they try to alter their voice to sound like Drake, which still comes out okay. And even there's some people who are claiming that the song that Drake probably must have dropped a couple of days ago, that it most likely might be an AI and not him himself rapping. I'm not familiar with the guy called Joel Austin, but anyway, it just says he's part of a film called AI. Now, yeah, the part where it says yeah, Ovo, and then whole niggas in yeah the D writers. Ovo should be what Drake normally likes to refer to himself or some of the things that he deals with, and I think it probably means October something. But when he's the way he wrote that oval is OV and then hyphen with a hole. So he kind of like I think he kind of like refers to Drake as a hole or something. But anyway, let us continue. Yeah. So after talking about that, he said that he asked those people to run to America and imitate the heritage. They cannot imitate the violence. It seems like the West Coast areas, or yeah, probably the West Coast areas, seem to be associated with a lot of violence. Which, if you really listen to Kendrick Lamar's album since he started, he talks about the kind of neighborhood that he grew up in, especially the song called "Good Kid, Mad City." But for him, he says that he doesn't really care or mind talking about West Coast and pushing that kind of what is happening there into the world. And then he started addressing the issue about the family, which I also think is not a good thing. Bringing a family into a beef between two guys, it is not a good thing. But he says that if they will do so, there's somebody is going to bleed in his family probably. Now the rest of the part I don't really see anything important that much, or I don't really understand why he was talking about that. But the third last line where he said whoever that's effing with him, which is Drake probably, f you niggas and f the industry too. If you take it there, I'm taking it further, then that's something you don't want to do. So I don't really see much to say about it, just self-explanatory. I still feel like the outro is it was good when he says we don't wanna hear you say the N word no more, which probably will have a lasting effect towards the people who are listening to it. So yeah, generally speaking, I think Kendrick Lamar did a better job compared to Drake's song called Pusher. Uh, yeah, so even if Drake would like to reply to this song, he must be at this level, try to go a little bit higher. But involving the family is where I feel like it's going to be like a terrible thing to do because it might probably stop them being friends or I don't know, bring a grudge or something toxic that we're not expecting as fans of hip hop. But anyway, what are your thoughts?